Today's webinar is about DEAMS DASI. It's a recompete. And there we go. So, fun fact is yesterday I was doing the research to put the slides together and realized that DEAMS was released already, and it was a live task order on a vehicle that I could not get access to. So, what I have today is a very great quote. I don't procrastinate. I just prefer to do all my work in a deadline-induced panic because apparently nothing motivates me like sheer terror. And that comes from me, probably. So, as I was doing my research yesterday and putting the slides together and running our system, I realized that it probably wasn't a great opportunity to showcase since it was either past due or is due very shortly. So the sheer terror struck me last night, and I had to pivot a bit. So welcome to the CenTAM proposal capture effort. This is a $1 billion contract that's coming out. The draft RFP just got released, and a lot more available data on this opportunity and something that you may be able to do about it. Something to, like, you could actually prepare for this one because it's not live yet. So very sorry for the bait and switch. I felt that pushing this out last night would cause a lot of confusion, and I'd be getting a lot of people that were reaching out saying, hey, what's going on? So instead, happy Thursday and welcome to the CenTAM webinar from the Census Bureau. And really what I had intended both of these webinars to be about were running through a complicated program and how do we need to think about attacking these things as capture managers. One of the reasons why I was able to put this together so quickly with such detail is because we have built an AI platform that does that for us. So all of the information you're going to find here in this platform was generated through the WinMoreBD platform using the Jules AI that Alessi and I have been building over the past 9 months or so. So we are in the process of automating capture, and where a lot of people start, and I think that this is where kind of average comes from, is this mindset of what do we have to bid? Like, what do we have as a company? And this is the first starting point. And one of the things I want to walk you guys through today's whole webinar is about is the winning mindset is what does the government need to see from us before they award the contract to us? And that's why we're going to talk a lot about the customers. We're going to talk about what their hot buttons are. We're going to talk about the pain of the 2020 census that all of the people who are going to be evaluating these proposals experienced and has driven their new acquisition mindset, right? And their new acquisition changes from where they were 6 years ago to wrapping up the census to preparing for this one. And that is actually driving a lot, and I think it's going to make a huge difference in the companies who focus on that pain because there's not a lot of time and not a lot of space you get to talk about it. And it's going to make a huge difference into the evaluation team of who gets selected. So think of this as the CenTAM opportunity, regardless of whether you're bidding on it. There's a lot of large companies here, so you're probably not. We'll see. But a lot of what they're talking about is going to show up in the evaluation room. So our system allows us to do in hours what it takes capture teams months to create. I have a full 40-something page document that our system generated specifically about CenTAM that has been driving all of these slides. But this is what we're doing. We're doubling probability of win. We are reducing the strategy time. We're lowering capture cost. We're actually freeing up you, the capture managers and BD professionals, to go focus on the things that matter. Because there's only so much information I can get and Jules can get from the internet and from open source intelligence and even from your past proposals. If we were running through your capability statements and your past proposals and your past performance narratives and all these things, there's only so much that we can get from all of these government documents that get pushed out. What matters more now and what's going to separate winners from I'm not going to say losers, but definitely high growth companies from companies who are just maintaining, is who can get that customer intelligence, who can get that next level of customer engagement that can fuel these types of insights, that can give us more light when we go to write the proposal, when we go to make our teaming decision, when we go to do our solution development, and exactly what the government wants to see and why they want to see it. Like that why is so, so important. And I'm going to show you guys an example through the CenTAM opportunity. I was planning to do it through DEAMS. So procrastination, you know, that's a thing. So why, understanding the why, understanding who our customers are is going to drive all of our successful capture efforts. And we need to understand the why behind the CenTAM contract. So every structural choice in this solicitation is a response to a documented institutional failure. In 2020, there were massive cost overruns. There were GAO audit findings. The Office of the Inspector General found multiple cybersecurity failures and a workforce instability that shaped the new evaluation criteria and all of the requirements that we're going to read in the BPA and in the subsequent RFQs. So we're going to start with that. I always feel like starting with the customer is the best place to do, or is the best place to start. And that's going to give us a much better bid, no bid. It's going to give us a much better understanding of the things we need to do as capture managers to prepare to win, right? All right, so let's talk about what happened in 2020. So GAO found that it gave the Census contract a high risk designation. So IT management was flagged for governance gap, inadequate oversight, and cost estimation weaknesses. In the new RFP, there's new confidence rating and oral presentations that are testing the genuine capability and the highest technically rated offer to ensure the best technical team wins. There were cost overruns and integration failures from the last census, and that resulted in significant IT cost growth and system integration breakdowns. Well, now there's an iterative delivery framework that has been being instituted with named milestones. The 2026 test, the 2028 dress rehearsal, and then the 2030 census day. These things are the 2030 census day is constitutionally mandated. That has to happen. There's going to be no tolerance for any types of schedule slippage. What the OIG found is that there were unauthorized admin access with personally identifiable information exposure risks, and they documented plentiful security failures. Now what we're seeing in all of the information that the CenTAM folks have pushed out is that the DevSecOps first and the government furnished tooling. So all dev tools are government furnished. The GitLab, the Jira, there are some other ones they named. Title 13 data protection is what they're going for. So the government is now owning these tools that everybody is going to be doing work in. Then there were contractor staffing failures, bait and switch. There were senior talent that was proposed and junior staff that was delivered post-award. I'm sure none of us have done that. Key personnel, government approvals, and orals. We get 5 people that need to show up to the orals presentation. Personnel substitution requires government approval. We'll talk about the orals here in a bit. And then there's siloed contractor execution. And this is one of the most significant hot buttons or significant issues that you're going to see here in a bit about essentially the after action report. I don't know what the civilian term for that is, but the lessons learned. There you go. The lessons learned was we had all these contractors doing the 2020 census, but they were optimizing for their own contracts, not the enterprise outcome. And that's a problem. So what are they doing in response to that? Well, now there's 4 different BPAs, and you can only be on one team. So there's cross BPA collaboration that's required, and there's a mutual exclusivity commitment that I'll talk about here in a bit. All right, so these evaluators I'm about to go over lived through 2020. We all have probably post-traumatic stress from 2020 in general. But in our proposals, they're going to be looking for proof that we understand that institutional pain, what went wrong, and that our approach prevents it from happening again. So who are the customers? So our system went out and identified who the customers are likely going to be. And we had a lot of intelligence gaps that our system says, hey, we need additional information. And it generated a whole lot of action items for potential people to go talk to related to this specific opportunity to fill in some of the intelligence gaps. Well, we got the major stakeholders, right? So we have Barbara LaPresetti, the Chief Division Innovation and Technology Division. She's 25 years at Census, and she was the Industry Day keynote speaker, and she repeatedly emphasized right people at the right time. And from a lot of other documents we found, we believe this is a deeply held conviction from lived experience with contractor staffing failures. Also focused on system of systems architecture and holistic design. That shows up a lot in the requirements. There's John Studds, who is the Chief Information Officer, 30 years at Census, technical authority for all IT decisions, deep institutional memory, prefers evolutionary, not revolutionary approaches. Deborah Stempowski, the AD Census Decennial Census Programs, appointed in 2022. She owns the 2030 Census timeline and is the decision authority for the Decennial BPA and focused specifically on the 2028 dress rehearsal readiness. Next, there we go. Christopher Hinshaw, Chief Acquisition Division, is the procurement integrity gatekeeper, the evaluation process oversight, and has the contract structure decisions. And then Ron Jarman, Chief Operating Officer, former acting director, senior executive oversight, budget discipline, and the 2020 Census lesson learned drives his priorities. All right, so what are the challenges that Census is dealing with on this next contract iteration? Well, there's over 100 legacy applications to modernize and to transition to the cloud, constitutional deadline, and it's $1 billion contract ceiling for all 4 of them. So the 2020 significant IT cost growth and overruns, institutional failures created this scar tissue that we've been talking about. The GAO high risk designation was flagged for governance gaps, inadequate oversight, cost estimation weakness, and cybersecurity vulnerabilities. This is the cybersecurity findings, the unauthorized admin access, the Census systems, PII exposure risk, documented failures, and then the workforce scarcity. On this next contract, there's a lot of cloud agnostic work, AI, ML work, DevSecOps, talent shortages, and then the Census BI clearance processing delays is also a problem too. So getting people onto this contract is going to have, and they talk about this at length in a lot of their a lot of the publicly available data we were able to find from the folks, is that they recognize that getting people on staff is difficult, so we have to plan around that. So what are the immovable deadlines? When we're backwards planning here, we got to start with what the main goal of this contract is, which is the April 1st, 2030 Census Day. Hooray. We get to count every person in the United States, dictated by the Constitution. Coming back from that, we have the 28 dress rehearsal, which is a full-scale rehearsal, and we got to be ready to deliver then too. And then we have a 26 census test, and this is the first operational milestone, and the transition plans are designed around meeting this test. So not a lot of time. So what do we have? What did they do here? We'll go over the contract a little bit, and then we'll start diving into things. So this is a 10-year IT modernization contract. It's split out into 4 BPAs, and it's a total small business set-aside. In order to compete as a prime, you must have the GSA Mass Sen 54151S. The small business size standard is 34 million, the 541-511, small business only. So the first BPA is the enterprise BPA, right? This is multiple award. It's for census-wide programs. It's the broadest scope, covers all the 5 areas. This is the broadest vehicle in the CenTAM program, covers all 5 task areas, which are contract management, IT program management, architecture and engineering, application development and modernization, and advanced data science. Orders can support any census program or directorate. This is where the heavy lifting is going to happen for migrating the over 100 applications to cloud native architectures, building the AI ML pipelines, standing up the DevSecOps, and managing the whole thing through safe delivery, so the scaled agile framework. Multiple awards here. I don't know the number of potential awardees for this, but we're going to be, whoever wins these awards are going to be competing on the task orders afterwards. Then you have the decennial BPA, and this is a single award. This is the crown jewel, single award, winner take all. This supports the 2030 census program exclusively. It's the same 5 tasks that I just went over, plus a dedicated data architecture requirement covering petabyte scale data ecosystems, safe program governance across interdependent systems and real-time data ingestion. This is the biggest one. This is the highest ceiling, the highest risk, and the evaluators are using a best value trade-off. So the price and technical merit are both going to matter. There are 11 key personnel in this BPA that you have to submit along with your proposal. Then we have the geospatial BPA. This is also a single award, but this is highly specialized. It covers the GIS data management, geospatial application modernization, and the MAF Tiger system that underpins the census mapping and address data. So specifically for this one, this is the only one where they dictate what kind of experience you need. This is specifically with Oracle spatial technology data models, address data sets, migrating legacy spatial applications to open source cloud native solutions. So if you don't have the geospatial depth, don't bid here. There's 2 key personnel resumes required. It's the same trade-off analysis as the decennial BPA. And then you have the SPS. This is the systems and program support. This is also multiple award, but it's narrower, more focused vehicle. So there are only 3 task areas here, which are contract management, IT program management, and architecture and engineering. So there's no application development, no data science. This is the governance, testing, and systems engineering layer that supports the broader census modernization. So highest HTRO evaluation, the highest technically rated offers. So the other thing here is that for the SPS, if you bid SPS, you cannot bid any of the other 3. So you are mutually locked into just that. So we get to choose, right? You can be on one team only, but your team can bid any combination of the enterprise, decennial, geospatial BPAs. You have to have mutually exclusive arrangements, and then the SPS BPA is you can only bid on that. So if you get awarded that, you will not win any of the other ones, not even as a subcontractor. So if you're subs, or if you are a sub, if you violate these restrictions and the government finds out, you will be removed from your team, and any experience and key personnel that they provided are going to be removed from that evaluation as well. So this ties back to the hot button about the contractors focusing on maximizing their own individual contracts. This is the way that they feel like they can solve that issue. Okay. So what are we talking about here? Well, 272 unique companies attended the industry day. We have a phase 1 where we need to submit up to 9 experience examples with an advisory down select that will then invite you to the orals. They're using confidence ratings here to replace the traditional adjectival ratings. And then phase 2 is the orals plus price. You have a 5-person orals team. The topics will be provided 1 week before. There's no question. They will ask questions during the orals, and they're going to test real capability here. So practicing as a team is something that is, orals is a tricky thing. No one likes to do them. They're expensive. They're big and complicated. You need orals coaches. It takes a lot of planning. There's not a whole lot of time, and I'll get to the schedule here in a little bit. There's not a whole lot of time between when the advisory down select happens and when the orals are getting scheduled. So understanding who those 5 people are now, getting some practice, some dry run-throughs of solving technical challenges will get you ahead of the game here. So the enterprise and SPS BPAs are highest technically rated evaluations. So these are the multiple award ones. So only the highest rated technical price proposals will be opened, and the technical excellence is the dominant win factor. And then you have the on-the-spot challenges and the oral presentations to include real-time technical questioning. the 5 people that show up there really need to know what they're talking about. And then the final RFQ is expected sometime next month, then orals in June and July, awards in July and August. So for those companies who have not started capture, we're a little behind. So what are the customer hot buttons here? So our Win More BD system runs OST's Win Strategy Framework. And the Win Strategy Framework goes like this. We identify hot buttons. Those hot buttons are actually the benefits that our solution has to provide, whether we can offer them or not. Then we look at ourselves and we say, okay, what do we have now that can deliver those benefits? What do we have now that can prove those feature and benefit statements? And anywhere where there's a gap in either things to sell, like people, process, technology, experience, capability, whatever, right? The things you're offering. Any gaps in intelligence we have about the benefits we need to provide, and any gaps in proof, these are things that we need to fill. So our system, as it goes through all of the open source data, it pulls out these hot buttons. It reads in between the lines. What is being inferred as potential pain? Sometimes the pain is just openly stated. And then how are those things supported through multiple different documents? And we have this hope, fears, and biases framework. And this comes from the OSINT that we were collecting and the solicitation signals. So the hopes, we have a couple. What does the customer want to achieve? What's the vision for the future? Well, there's 2. There's modernization application portfolio with minimized technical debt and embedded data quality and real-time anomaly detection. These are the things they want as we are developing the architecture and we're developing the applications to be hosted on whichever cloud the government picks, yada, yada. What are the fears? There's usually more fears than there are hopes and biases, but the fears are the transformation, disruption, and cost overrun. They've already been gigged on this. There's been multiple reports, congressional testimony, IG reports. Nobody likes doing that. So they don't want to have to do that again. There's also workforce instability and loss of specialized skills. This is also lessons learned on the 2020 census, security breaches from the 2020 census, Title 13 data exposure, and a collaboration breakdown of silo contractors. So they believe this new format and structure is going to solve these things. And when we submit our past performance and our past experience, we need to show examples of how we have solved these hot buttons on other contracts, right? So we're kind of disguising our technical approach in the form of past experience and past performance. Biases. Well, there's a cloud first and multi-cloud architecture, so no vendor lock-in. And then they are dictating the safe, agile, and iterative delivery, not generic agile. Specifically, we want the scaled agile framework. All right, so let's start going through the hot buttons. So all of these are generated by Jules and all of the information that we've collected so far. All right, hot button 1, hope. This is critical. This is the modernized application portfolio with minimized technical debt. So there's 100+ legacy applications that need to be migrated to a cloud-native microservices architecture optimized for AI and machine learning. This is not boilerplate. The PWS specifies the target state and business outcome, cost reduction and agility. The Section M criteria directly scores modernization methodology. So how do we turn that into a win strategy? So Jules came up with the 6R framework. This is not required, but we do need to position some sort of application rationalization methodology, right? So the 6R framework actually came from Gartner. It was originally the 5 Rs and later expanded to 6. It's popularized by AWS and their cloud migration methodology, and it's widely used across the federal IT modernization as common vocabulary for application rationalization systems. So while the CenTAM solicitation does not specifically ask for this approach, the prior experience example 2 that they have specifically asked for the approach and decision criteria used to perform application rationalization and modernization prioritization. Doesn't prescribe which framework to use, but I believe they want to see one. So we need to show whether it's the 6R framework or whatever you guys bid, or whatever your partners would bid. We need to demonstrate past performance with large-scale portfolio transformation. I would say 50 or more applications. Show how you navigate legacy constraints while building modern foundations. So there's a whole continuity thing here. Hot button 2 is fear, transformation, disruption, cost overruns. So their biggest fear is that the modernization will disrupt their normal operations. They're going to miss their delivery milestones, the 2026 test, the 2028 dress rehearsal, or the repeat of the 2020 census cost overruns. So we need to align our iterative delivery model with named, phased, and milestones, and the PWS is a direct response to the institutional scar tissue. So this is risk management, emphasizing iterative delivery, transparent milestone tracking, early course correction, frame every commitment around the movable 2028 dress rehearsal and the 2030 census day milestones. We need to demonstrate past experience managing large-scale migration with concurrent operations. So this is going beyond just parroting what your past contracts are about. Because for some of these, we only get 8 pages to talk about a pretty large scope of work in terms of past performance. And then the decision about who's going to be invited to orals is coming from that. Every sentence on the page needs to address one of these hot buttons. It needs to translate scope into the so what for the census. You know, the census is not a huge organization, right? But they're not the only large statistical driven organization in the government, right? They're not the only enterprise that's moving their legacy applications to cloud. They're not the only enterprise that's doing a lot of this work. So it's incumbent upon us to understand how the evaluators are going to see these types of issues, and then how do we translate our past performance and our past contracts into this new language for them so that they can understand what it is we're offering, why they should select us. Well, let's continue. There are more fears: workforce instability and loss of specialized skills. So there's a big fear about contractor personnel in cloud. AI, machine learning, and DevSecOps will not be available during critical phases. The Presti's repeated emphasis on the right people and right time is a deeply held conviction from lived experience. The personnel substitution requires government approval, and we don't want the bait and switch. So we need key personnel with multiple cloud certifications, AI, machine learning practitioners, and DevSecOps engineers. We need a good retention strategy. Again, like our system is coming up with generic win strategies. When we have companies' past performance and we have their capabilities and the things that they are pitching in their proposals, this becomes a lot better, right? And it becomes a lot more specific. However, the retention strategy that we need to talk about is the equity, career paths, census dedicated assignments, pre-cleared personnel where possible. You know, it's a pretty large contract, and the funding goes up and down from ramping up to the census to ramping down and doing all the conclusions and closeout and then planning for the next one. Probably metrics on comparable 3-year contracts. So in order to solve this hot button, we want to put our retention metrics in our past performance. So their hot button 4 is a hope. This is embedded data quality and real-time anomaly detection. So Census is hoping to embed data quality governance from inception, real-time anomaly identification rather than discovering quality problems post-processing. This is critical for an agency processing hundreds of millions of records with constitutional accuracy requirements. There are a lot of massive implications of the census every year, including how many representatives in Congress or in the House of Representatives each state gets, and where are they? So huge, huge, huge. That's not the only thing that it does, but this is huge impact on our nation. Differentiation opportunity. Have you and your past performance developed data quality architecture showing ingestion time validation, machine learning, anomaly scoring, and data lineage tracking? Many competitors will offer the generic data quality monitoring without the architectural sophistication Census is seeking. So what have we done in the past? Is it the same? And let's talk about that too. If that's a gap, then we need to go find that experience, right? Fear, security breaches, Title 13 data exposure. That's a felony. Don't do that. The OIG specifically found unauthorized admin access and PII exposure. All of the new dev tools are going to be government furnished equipment such as GitLab and Jira to prevent SaaS data exposure. Security is listed before quality and speed in the PWS, and that ordering is deliberate. Security is the number one thing. So we need that comprehensive DevSecOps pipeline using the GitLab native security scanning. List out a bunch of tools there. The zero trust architecture, SBOM governance, and AI safety framework. We need to address the OIG findings directly. What prevents unauthorized admin access and PII exposure? This is not something you would typically talk about in your past performance, right? It would be something that you would want to talk about here. The next one is a bias, the cloud first and multi-cloud architecture. Census has an explicit architectural principle, multi-cloud with no single preferred vendor. The QA responses clarify this tenet, not a preference. The customer wants best practices across AWS, Azure, and GCP without lock-in. So what does that mean? Is that if you have people who are on your team who specialize in a specific cloud, they may default to that specialization because that's what they're used to. So getting the cloud generalists who can work across clouds and really build that multi-cloud architecture with containerization, that infrastructure as a code and cloud agnostic data layers. This is really what Census is looking for. So as we're building our teaming strategies, understanding these hot buttons really will dictate who we choose and who we decide to no bid or limit the amount of work that we give to, right? Who are we going to pull past performance from to showcase capabilities in these areas? The next hot button is another fear. It's collaboration breakdown and siloed contractor efforts. And this is a fear from the multiple contractors, and the 4 BPA structure will operate in silos, duplicate work, or create integration seams. Participation constraints and emphasis on maximum reuse reveal concern about the contractors optimizing for their own BPA rather than the Census outcome. So I think we do need an integration and collaboration plan for cross BPA operations, shared artifact repository, integration of the governance board, the standardized APIs for cross-contractor interoperability, highest pass multi-contractor experience, right? So how have we developed with other contractors? Do we play mice in the sandbox? This is something that we're also going to want to mention in our past performance. So understand that we're probably not going to be in charge of driving this. The government will be, but at the same time, we need to be on board, and this needs to be a core tenet of some of our past performance and in our orals presentation of how we interact with other contractors to get the work done. This is a bias, safe, agile, and iterative delivery frameworks. Census expects safe explicitly, not generic agile. The combination of the safe requirement plus PMI and PMBOK standards indicate Census expects it. Hybrid model. Agile delivery cadences within disciplined project management governance. The iterative process model maps to safe, not waterfall. So this is just table stakes. This is something we got to do. It's confidence builder. We need to show safe implementation map to Census milestones in the orals. In our past performance, we need to show how we use safe to meet specific milestones on time, on budget, within the quality standards, within the SLAs, yada, yada. Safe certifications are required for key personnel, and these are value adds. So we should be looking for those people. So there's a lot of hot buttons here, right? And a lot of these hot buttons need to be turned into benefits. I didn't have time or space to show you guys all the benefits we wrote to, or the system wrote to. I didn't do it. There's no way I could have done all of this research between last night and today. But every submission format, whether it's in the orals or it's in the past performance, we can include feature benefit proof points, right? We learned this expertise on this contract, and therefore we do this new approach that provides this benefit, and here's the proof from that specific contract. So we can work in these features and benefits into the experience volumes that we need to talk to, right? So what does it look like? Well, to begin with, we have prior experience. We need to disguise, to some degree, our past performance narratives into our past performance submission, our corporate experience submission, to get invited to the phase 2 orals, right? So we need to not just describe the scope that most past performance volumes are written as, but we need to show how we solve these problems that mirror the census hot-buttons. Because I'm sure these problems are universal. I'm sure if you guys have been in this field before, you've experienced these problems at some point in the past. So we need to map each of these hot buttons: modernization, risk management, workforce, data quality, security, cloud, and collaboration. Each example needs to hit these hot buttons, or at least address some of them. And the totality of all of the experience we get to provide needs to address all of the hot buttons. We got to quantify everything: applications migrated, uptime during migration, retention rates, cost variance, schedule adherence. You get 8 pages for, I think for most of the BPAs. I don't remember if I included the full breakdown, but it's roughly 2 pages each. Every sentence needs to address how, or show how we address real pain that mirrors census pain. This is how we can say, oh, hey, wow, this contractor understands what we're going through. They understand what we are looking for. We need to invite them to orals. And this might be able to overcome some of, if you don't have specific census experience, this might be able to overcome some of it, showing this deep understanding and how we've solved these issues in the past. So this is the framework that I talked about earlier, right? So features are what specific capability or approach do we bring, right? I talked about the 6R rationalization framework, the multi-cloud Kubernetes architecture, and then the benefit. What does the census get from this? We can do this in past performance as well. We delivered this to provide this benefit. We delivered this so that we could provide our customers this benefit. It just happens to be the benefit system their census is looking for. And then we have the proof point. That color was better in my head than it is now on the screen. Proof. And corporate experience is about proof, but we need to be specific, right? We need to quantify and qualify and be specific. We need metrics. We need numbers. Numbers are believable. Our eyes perceive text as fluff without numbers. Right? So the quantified results: we migrated 67 apps to AWS or Azure with 99.97% uptime. We delivered a $12 million cost savings. We met all of our schedule milestones, yada, yada, right? We need numbers. Phase 2, oral presentations. We need to select the people, the 5 people who can answer probing questions on modernization, security, data science, cloud, and collaboration across contractors, live. Get an hour and a half. Key personnel, there's a lot of them, and there's some specialized key personnel as well. Topics provided 1 week before the orals, no reach back. Your team practices under these exact conditions. Under highest technically rated offers, the enterprise and SPS BPAs, only the top rated technical team has their price open. We need to win on technical excellence first. Everything we do needs to be built towards technical excellence. And one of the things I've seen, guys, because I've been running these capture intelligence reports for about a month now, and I've seen them evolve from, hey, all we have is an RFI, or all we have is the old solicitation. Well, hey, this RFI came out. Let's add the RFI. The analysis updates. Or, hey, there was an industry day. We found the slides. We got the transcript. The analysis updates. To, hey, now the draft RFP has come out. The analysis updates. We've even had companies sign NDAs with us and say, okay, well, now do this analysis with our past performance. The analysis updates, right? So we're building this real-time engine into our system to provide the information we need to make critical decisions during capture to prepare for a winning proposal. This is the whole point. Like, if we can get a sole source, amazing. If we can limit the amount of competition by influencing a contract to a specific vehicle, amazing. The process of finding out who the customers are and what exactly they care about, executing the action items, collecting human intelligence, and evolving our understanding and positioning over time is what makes capture so difficult. The system saves you at least a month of research in diving through all of these documents. I think Jules found, I uploaded, I want to say 13 documents that I found. Jules found another 15 or so. So I think there was roughly 28 documents. Some of those documents are hundreds of pages. Like a massive amount of information. It would have taken to read through all of that, keep it all in my brain, and then try to connect the dots together. System provides that to you in a way that we can now execute the action items, right? So again, these are general, okay? So when I have your capabilities, your past performance, I can do a detailed gap analysis, and we can the rank the criticality of the action items, of the things that we need to do first. And also we have a real-time P-win calculation that changes every time you execute one of those action items. So are you doing the things that we need to do in order to raise our P-win? Well, the system tells you as you bring in new information about what the customer wants, and as we get buying signals from the customer, as we get positive interactions, these things go up, right? So the first thing we need to do, obviously, is make a bid, no bid requirement. You need the GSA Mass Sin 541.51S. Without it, what are you doing? It's a subcontract opportunity. There's a gap matrix. So again, like our reports that we run on our clients' information does the gap analysis for them. It scores on a 0 to 4, so there's five capability scores, right? And it ranks past performance against each one of these major capability areas. Each one of these, in this case, they're task areas, right? So 0 is no capability. 1 is limited capability, limited past performance. 2 is some capability, some past performance. 3 is green, and green is capability and past performance with the same or similar agency, and 4 is the incumbent work, or essentially same past performance at the same agency. So our goal in the capture is to get those things up, right? So if I'm a 1 or a 2 or a 0, how can I get them to 3s and 4s as best I can? We need to map the experience to the 9 prior experience examples. With our past performance, we need to write the past performance as a tech approach in disguise. The examples have to address the customer hot buttons, not just describe the scope. So if we did something amazing for another customer, Census may not know how that customer refers to things, and they may be equal, but we have to do that translation. And that requires us as business developers and capture managers to understand what needs to be translated, what is different, pass it along to the proposal team in a way that they can use. And there's a responsibility on the proposal team as well. We also need to lock in the teaming partners. We need binding signed agreements with exclusivity. So if the census is weak, there's find a census partner. You know, Department of Commerce experience is the next best thing. There are other statistical contracts in the Department of Commerce, not just the census. We also need to identify and commit the named key personnel: PM, chief architect, data scientist lead, DevSecOps lead, transition manager, any pre-cleared staffing we can bring while possible with these certifications. And then start the orals prep, right? It takes time to build teamwork. If you guys have ever done orals before, they can get off the rails really quick if we haven't worked together in the past and we haven't been under pressure before. So the more time we get together to gel, the more fluid the presentation will be. All right, the best teams who prepare the best will win. So we need to start now, right? So again, here's the kind of the bid, no bid gates, right? So Jules went out and found 8 to 12 credible small business primes in a tiered threat analysis. There were 2 small business firms that are embedded at Census, creating a sort of incumbency-like advantage. There's actually more than that. I actually did not go and provide it all the data that I had. And then there are the large primes: Accenture, Booz, Deloitte. They're eliminated from prime competition, but they're going to funnel their capabilities through their small business teaming arrangements. There's more other than small businesses as well. If you guys want the full competitive intelligence landscape, schedule a demo with me and we'll go through it. So this is the timeline: May 26th, final RFQ release, May through June, phase 1 due, oral presentations due in June or July, and then the BPA awards in July and August. All right, so with that, guys, I understand that I did a little bit of a bait and switch for you all. You showed up looking at an Air Force contract. That's on me. So what I'll do here, guys, is schedule a demo with me. It'll take an hour. I think it schedules for 30 minutes automatically. send me an opportunity you want me to look at, right? Solicitation, whatever it is, whatever you have, send me files. Say, hey, I want to do this. If you want to do an NDA before and send us your capabilities, the report will be a lot better. We just did a bid, no bid really fast on a company that sent us their capabilities late. And we got on the meeting. It was like, hey guys, why are you bidding this? From what you sent us, you don't really have much capabilities in this field, right? So hopefully we prevented them from making an expensive mistake because I think they were all in on that one. But making good decisions is what this is about. Going through all of this information takes a really, really long time. And then going through all of your past performance takes a long time too. Our system is very good at analyzing large amounts of data, connecting the dots for you, helping you make good decisions, right? Free you guys up, the business developers, the capture managers, proposal folks, free you guys up to do high value tasks like engaging with your customers, putting the deals together, coming up with creative solutions to solve some of our government's most challenging problems. So this is a QR code. This should take you directly there. I'll give you guys a free capture intelligence report. The feedback I've gotten is that they save about 4 to 6 weeks of work from capture managers, and we've done this on some very, very large procurements, very complicated procurements. So that's the feedback I've been getting from capture managers who have been working live on their opportunities. That's kind of the quality check. I do this, I put it in, we go over the report together, and whether or not you guys decide to sign up for the platform or not, keep the report. It's our gift to you. So with that, guys, I'm Dave Huff, the CEO of Winmore BD. This is my email, my cell phone number. You can call, text me. I'll stick around for a little bit and take questions. And hopefully you guys enjoy the presentation. Apologize again about the bait and switch, but such is life. So let me go into the chat box here. If you guys have questions, feel free to type them in because I don't see any so far.
And I don't see anything in the Q&A, just
copy the presentation. Yes, we will. So I'm going to send this over to, I'm going to send the slides over to Sophia, and then we'll get those pushed out to everybody here. Who are the 2 small businesses that you found? They are, so this is the actual report. Guidehouse and DRT Strategies. So I believe Guidehouse just got bought, so they might not be small anymore. I don't remember, or they bought somebody. And there are more too. I actually did not enable our competitive analysis pipeline. Can you still share the slides for the Air Force's recompete? I actually didn't do them. So if you have the solicitation files, if you send those to me, I can run a report for you. But I believe it came out under ITES 3S, which was a little weird for me that the Air Force was using an Army strategic sourcing vehicle, but that was what I heard, and I couldn't find anybody that could send it to me. So if you have those files, I'm happy to run it for you. And I can do it just like all of these other ones. Hi, Sophia. I didn't know that you were joining. Welcome.
hi. Yes, thank you. I joined when I could.
Yeah, no, all good.
All right, I don't see any further questions in the chat, but you guys will get an email that will link the recording as well as the slides. And you have Dave's information. You have his email there. I'll drop it here in the chat as well in case anybody wants to follow up, whether it's with your own option. Here we go. Oh, that is not true. That is DB, and it should be BD. BD. He'll never get those emails. And we'll open it up for about another 30 seconds or so in case there are any last second questions people would like to ask. If you'd like to come off mute, feel free to do so as well. Perfect. Thank you, Thomas. Fantastic.
Well, if you guys would like whatever topics that you are interested in, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Sophia. We are always looking for whatever you guys are interested in to do deep dives on. So trying to add value. So if you have a contract that's coming up or a bid or something you want to learn more about, you reach out to us and we can put together a webinar, get a bunch of people together and go through it. So also follow us on LinkedIn. We're pushing out stuff all the time. Sophia is running our marketing effort at OST. So she is pushing out contracts that we think people want to read about that are interesting to the community. If you guys have ones, feel free to make those suggestions, make our lives a little easier when we're arguing about which ones to write about and which ones not to write about. You might be the deciding factor. So with that, guys, I hope you guys have a great Thursday. I hope it's gorgeous where you are. It's gorgeous here. I'm going to go sit on the beach for a little bit. So hope to see you guys in the next webinar. And again, please reach out if you guys have additional questions, if you guys would like to see this run on the live opportunity that you're currently doing. And with that, I hope to see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. See you guys.